After my last video, a comment showed up from a guy named Mike. Said he'd spent 11 years as a Ford Senior Master Tech at a dealership outside of Houston, Diesel Specialty, certified in everything the Blue Oval offers. And last March, and get this, he didn't just leave. He walked away from the Bay, sold his Snap-on box on Facebook Marketplace for pennies on the dollar, and started an HVAC apprenticeship. 11 years of expertise gone. 6 months later, he was out earning his best year as a mechanic, with no tool payments, no flat rate games, and no check engine lights haunting his dreams. I read that comment 3 times. Then I read the 40 other comments saying the exact same thing, because Mike isn't an outlier, he's the pattern. In my last video, I talked about why 90% of service bays are sitting empty. But, and this is what kept bugging me, the real question isn't why are bays empty, it's where did the people go? Today, we're following the trail, using your stories, the federal data, and the math that explains why almost none of them are coming back. The industry calls this a labor shortage, but you called it what it really is in the comments. A mass exodus. Every year, 76,000 techs leave or retire. Trade schools only graduate 39,000. That's a 37,000 person gap that compounds every single year. Even Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, admits they have 5,000 open slots they can't fill, at salaries reaching $120,000. But that $120,000 is a ceiling most will never touch. The median, $49,670, and that number is actually dropping. When a CEO says he can't find people, what he means is he can't find people willing to accept the terms that start on day one. Day one as a mechanic. Before you've turned a single bolt, you're already in the hole. A basic tool set runs $8,000 to $11,000, and that goes on a Snap-on or Matco credit account at rates that make credit cards look reasonable. The truck shows up every week. Every week you're paying for the privilege of clocking in. One of you put it perfectly. Your toolbox shouldn't cost more than your mortgage, but mine did. Day one as an HVAC tech. Your employer hands you a van. In the van, there are tools. They belong to the company. You drive to the site, do the work, drive home. No weekly payments, no rolling debt. The company invested in you before you turned your first wrench. Remember Mike from the top of the video? His Snap-on box, the one he sold on Marketplace, he'd been making payments on it for 7 years. It was worth more than his truck. He sold it for a fraction of what he owed. That's not a career change. That's someone cutting their losses and running. Now add the pay gap. Median mechanic, $49,670. Median HVAC tech, $59,810. That's $10,000 more, right at the middle. Top-end HVAC techs pull over $91,000. But it's not just how much, it's how. Most auto shops run flat rate pay. You're not paid for the hours you work. You're paid for what a book says the job should take. If the shop bills a customer $286 for a 2-hour brake job at $143 an hour, the tech might see $48 of that. If the bolts are rusted and it takes 4 hours, still $48. You're subsidizing the shop's overhead with your own unpaid labor. One of you called it wage theft by design, and it gets worse with warranty work. Manufacturers reimburse shops at only 60 to 70% of the standard rate, and the shop doesn't absorb that cut. The tech does. Same job, same tools you're still making payments on, less money, because a corporation decided their warranty shouldn't cost them full price. That is the rot underneath the rot. In HVAC, you clock in, you get paid. Period. No book time. No gambling. And there's the physical toll. Concrete floors, brake dust, chemical solvents, contorted under dashboards for decades. When mechanics hit their mid-30s, they start doing the math on whether their body can handle 20 more years, and they're finding the answer is no. And it isn't just HVAC. Mechanics are scattering everywhere. Government fleet jobs are a big one. One of you described the switch as, and I'm quoting, "the greatest day of my adult life. Set hours. Pension. No flat rate. No Snap-on truck parked outside every Tuesday. You clock in at 7, clock out at 3:30, and your weekends actually belong to you. For a guy who spent a decade diagnosing misfires until 8 p.m. on a Friday for flag time, that's not just a career change, it's a life change. They're also moving to industrial maintenance, the electrical trade, elevator work, corporate fleet roles. The pattern is the same everywhere. Mechanics aren't leaving the trades. They're leaving this specific trade because they're tired of being punished for being good with their hands. So, do they come back? No. And the reason is structural. The auto industry built itself around a model where the tech absorbs all the risk. You buy the tools. You eat the slow days. You pay for your own training to keep up with vehicles that are becoming rolling computer networks. And after 2017, you can't even write off your tools on your taxes anymore. That deduction vanished for W-2 employees, so you're paying thousands a year for equipment your employer requires, and the government won't even let you deduct it. Meanwhile, every other trade figured this out decades ago. Once a mechanic crosses over, they realize what they were putting up with. It's like leaving a relationship you didn't know was bad until you were out of it. The HVAC tech who used to be a mechanic isn't sitting around missing it. He's looking at his paycheck and wondering why he didn't leave sooner. Nobody's going back. This has consequences for everyone, whether you're a mechanic or not. The average vehicle on U.S. roads is now 12.8 years old, up from 11.9 a year ago. Americans are holding on to cars longer, which means more demand for repairs, right as the people who do the repairs are disappearing. The result? Longer wait times, higher labor rates, fewer shops that can handle complex work. If getting an appointment at your dealer now takes 3 weeks instead of 3 days, this is why. It's not a scheduling problem, it's a labor problem. What would it take to reverse this? Honestly, it's not complicated. It's just expensive. Hourly pay instead of flat rate. Employer-funded tool programs. A training pipeline that matches the cars we're actually building. Because right now, trade school grads are showing up to shops running EVs and ADAS systems with training built for carburetors. Until the industry decides the technician is worth investing in, the exodus continues. The auto repair industry doesn't have a shortage of people who want to work with their hands. It has a shortage of reasons for those people to choose this over everything else available. Better pay, company tools, hourly wages, less physical destruction. The other trades are winning with basic math. The bays aren't empty because nobody wants to work. They're empty because the work finally has competition. And here's what should concern you if you own a car. Those mechanics aren't coming back, which means the system they left behind is about to get a lot more expensive. For you. Your repair bill is climbing. Your wait times are stretching, and the cars themselves are getting harder to fix every single model year. That's where this story goes next.